Hello, gentlemen. Today I'm going to break down the championship game between Henry and Dez. Now, I don't typically do film reviews, but I do kind of want to start doing them more. And I just think it's a great way for people to learn and just to kind of analyze what is happening. Because if you just watch the game, you're not going to pick up on everything. But as you watch things back, you realize how brilliant some of the things are that they do. And I definitely picked up on some things when I watched this one back. So I'm going to break it down for you. You can use the timestamps if you want, but I think it'd be beneficial for you just to kind of go through this with me and just learn a few different things, different route combinations, how Henry was setting up his blitz that gave Dez a lot of problems. And spoiler alert, Henry did end up winning. He's now a 6-time champion. In my opinion, he's the GOAT. I don't really think that's disputable because I think MCS is probably the hardest era to play in, and he just makes it look easy. He's always in the finals like every single year of every single tournament, and he just somehow finds a way to win. So respect to Henry. I do think he's the GOAT. Dez is also a fantastic player, and he's top 3 player for sure. But Henry just had the better night, and he became champion. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the film review. Okay, so I'm just going to jump around this game and cover certain moments that I think are very critical or impressive by either player. It's mostly going to be about Henry, but Dez have some certain moments that are really impressive too. But this is a 4th and 12 for Dez, and I find this play extremely impressive by Henry. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to roll it, but go ahead and get a look at the route combination that Dez is putting on the field. And this is something that a lot of players will do. They, generally speaking, on a 4th and 12, you're not going to be throwing before the sticks. You're going to be throwing either at the sticks, which is the first down marker, or beyond the sticks. Because if you throw something like a drag coming across the middle, I mean, you can't expect him to get the 12 plus yards to get the first. Like, people do not want to do that. If the window is clear, then you can definitely throw it before the sticks, but overall, that isn't what you want to do. So let's go ahead and play it. And what you're going to see is Henry plays this literally perfectly. You might be looking at Dez and saying, wow, that is incredibly blind. And it wasn't the best throw, but look at what Henry does with his user. He can't throw the angle route yet. That's just not an option. And then Henry knows he has hook zone help with this defender here. So the angle route is covered. So all Henry has to do at this point is go and defend any inwards breaking routes at the sticks, because he knows right here, this corner route, we have a backed off zone over here. Corner route's not going to get open. And then Henry plays this perfectly and he gets the pick. And he might have benefited from, not getting the pick. Actually, I think he ends up getting that yardage back, but he plays that perfectly. Okay, so this ends up being Henry's first touchdown of the game, and Dez makes a fatal mistake here. This is just stock verticals that Henry's running. He has his bunch on the short side of the field. And what Dez makes a huge mistake here by pressing a flat zone against bunch. That is something you just cannot do. So what you're going to see is this vertical route, or this wheel, ends up getting along the sideline, makes a juke. Jukes are so good in this year's game, and gets the touchdown. And if you pay close attention, you're going to see that Dez knows that he cannot press his flat zone. It does not matter if he's zone dropped to 30, which he probably is. He might be 30, he might be 25. And Dez, at the very last second, tries to back him off. As you can see, he gets him back, but it's just too late. He is not going to get far enough back to defend this wheel. And Henry knows it. He's probably staring it down the entire time. Ends up getting the touchdown. Next, we're going to talk about Henry's defensive game plan. So this is a really good snap to cover it on, because Dez is going to be put in a no-win situation here. This route combination is really good. He basically audibles from bunch to bunch tight end. He has the out route, the corner, the streak, the backside angle. There's literally nothing wrong with this route combination. It's actually really good. The problem is Henry has a crazy dollar loop blitz that he's sending off the bunch side. And the problem with the bunch tight end is you have the tight end and the running back on the same side. And Dez blocks his tight end over here, but the loop is coming over here. So we'll go ahead and snap the play. You're going to see what happens as the cornerback comes screaming to the B gap. Defensive end comes around. And honestly, this is insane by Dez to get this ball off. Like, great recognition to throw this ball away. Like, I feel like pretty much any other player is taking a sack, if not worse. So great job by Dez. The problem is he's failing to recognize that Henry has the loop coming off the opposite side, and blocking the tight end on the opposite side is not going to do a damn thing about this loop. Now, the very next play, Dez adapts, and he does something very smart. He realizes that his tight end on the opposite side of the loop probably isn't going to pick up the blitz. So what he does is he ends up blocking the tight end, and he motions him across. And now the blocked tight end is on the same side as the loop, which is the slot cornerback here. So this is going to handle the loop perfectly. You have the right tackle take him, tight end takes him, and then he also has a good route combination behind it. He's using Y curl out of bunch. The reason you use Y curl is pretty much for this route here from the receiver. It kind of gets into this seam. If they blitz, they do like a zone blitz. He gets into that perfect void where the slot cornerback is vacating. And really, there's only two ways to take away this route when you're running a zone. Is you have to run like a scissors coverage where you have like the safety manned up to him, and then this cornerback here is manned up to the running back, or the user has to shoot out and defend it himself. Like, that's the only way you're going to take this away if you're like zone blitzing. And Henry almost gets there with his user. He's a freak. But this was a really good play by Dez. So this next play is the same drive, and Henry does something very impressive to me with his user. So pay attention to his user on this snap. I'm just going to roll it. It's just pretty much stock verticals, running backs on a streak instead. And Henry ends up lurking on this crosser. And to many people, they're going to think Dez is blind for throwing this. But I really want you guys to have the context of this play. So the pressure is coming in hot. Like, Dez set up pass protection, but this blitz is still coming in. He probably wasn't expecting it to come in, and it really kind of expedited his throw. But pay attention to Henry's user. This is very important. What you're going to see is, as of right now, he's split perfectly between the crosser and the running back wheel. Like, look at the yardage pretty much between the two. To here and then to here. It's pretty much the same. He's splitting the routes perfectly. And what that's doing is giving Dez just a fraction of indecisiveness, because as of right now, this player model is facing the running back, and in Dez's mind, he's probably thinking, okay, that means crosser is open, and he's probably right against maybe anybody that's not Henry. Henry in his mind probably did this on purpose, fake towards the running back, and then drop back towards the crosser. It looks blind, but I do not blame Dez for throwing this whatsoever. So Henry's ability to split these two routes is really impressive to me, and a lot of people won't do this properly because they'll just basically split the two routes and then not cover either one of them, and that's when it's really bad. But when you split two routes because you know they're coming and then you commit to one, that's when you get rewarded with a pick. This next clip is more so a tip for you guys. If you run bunch, this is something you should definitely add to your arsenal. Stock verticals is really good, but you are sending 5 out when you do it. And if you block your running back and you keep this guy on a streak, you have nothing short underneath zones. So this is kind of your workaround. You block your running back, you set up your pass protection, hopefully pick up the blitz. And then you have this drag route coming underneath. If this slot cornerback comes and they're not doing scissor coverage onto this guy here, there's going to be a window right here where the slot cornerback vacates. And then also this crosser can still be open. Although this guy here isn't on a streak, he can't push the deep zones back. There's still a window sometimes for this crosser right here between the hashes. So you're still getting this high-low action against the zone blitz. As you can see, Dez sends the slot cornerback, drag is going to be wide open, and it's just a really good fundamental setup. So this next play might actually be my favorite snap of the entire game. This is very high-level stuff by Henry. So what's going on here is you have Dez and gun bunch halfback strong. That means you have the bunch and the running back on the same side. And Dez ends up making kind of the same mistake he made earlier. He motions this running back out and puts him on a streak. And he has the C route here. When you have like the streak, the C route combo, that is oftentimes going to be an amazing route combination. Like the C route is going to be open almost all the time. The thing that Dez isn't accounting for, again, is he blocks his tight end on the opposite side of this loop. So this action between the defensive end and this cornerback, even though he's sliding his line to the right side, so he's right guard, he slid right, right tackle slid right, that is not going to pick up this blitz, and Henry knows it because his shell is extremely aggressive. So I'm going to snap the play, and what you're going to see, blitz comes in. But if you really pay attention to the coverage shell, what you're going to see is this safety comes down and a hook to take away the seam throw immediately. If you really think about it though, if he had more time, like 1 second more, Bo is open for a touchdown because this middle third here from this middle linebacker is not going to cover him. But again, Henry knows he's not going to have time to throw him late. So we have outside third right here. This guy here, the safety, he's coming down into a hook to take away the seam throw immediately. And then this guy here, this middle linebacker, is in a middle third. And if you go back a little bit further, what you're going to see is when he motions this running back out, he motions this linebacker out a little bit just in case he does have time to throw it. I don't think he would have covered it, but overall this was extremely smart by Henry to recognize that his blitz is going to come in and he can be a little bit more aggressive with his coverage. Now this next play is actually one of Henry's mess ups, and he doesn't have many in this game. Like, he played a really, really good game, but this was something that a lot of people would have made the same mistake. So what happens is Dez motions out the outside bunch receiver, and pretty much like 99% of the time when somebody does that, they're basically just trying to clear out for a corner route. Like, they motion this guy out, run him on a streak, slot receiver on a corner route, you get a big gain along the sideline. And that's probably what Henry's thinking here. He's thinking, okay, if I don't man the slot cornerback up to the corner route, he's going to be wide open. So he ends up manning up to the slot receiver, but he does it just a split second late, ends up getting a big gain because the slot cornerback is trailing him the entire time. But ultimately, I don't know if this matters much because tight end wheel is open here. He could have thrown the tight end wheel. Running back angle route is open as well. He could have thrown him right here. So Henry's splitting the routes, really well, but he is pretty far apart between both of these routes. And really, I would say either one is throwable. So this was just going to be a big gain by Dez, regardless. So I want to talk about where Dez probably lost the game, and I would imagine it's pretty much right here on this play. So he's in trips right now. I think it's trips offset. And his route combination here is like perfect. Like, this is an insane red zone dot, and he actually gets his guy open. So I'm going to snap the play, and what you're going to see is he motions the slot receiver in a step, and usually doing that is really smart because what's going to happen is this whip route is going to just pull things to the sideline, and there's going to be a window right here for your motioned corner route. The problem is, if you pay attention to the banner at the bottom, he ends up high throwing. High balls this year are super inconsistent in regards to accuracy as well as your receiver catching the ball. So that was his mistake here on this play. Red zone dot was perfect. This in route holds Henry in the middle, gets this corner route open. He just high balls it, and that's what ends up losing him the game. At this point, it's probably over. Henry's playing a really good game at this point. It's 14-0. He has the ball back. And yeah, in my opinion, this is definitely where I knew Dez had no chance. So for this next play, there's actually two things I want to talk about. First of all, this is just a really good dot that you guys can use in your own offense. If you have double post, this is in the Colts and Eagles playbooks. If you run a custom, you need to add double post to your playbook because it's probably the best play in the entire game because of this angled post. Fries man, gets into the perfect spot against zone. And this route combination here on the left side is really smart too. You have the C route, the stock C route, and the running back wheel. I will say this is probably more of a bunch to short side setup. Now, technically the ball is like between the hashes. It's not actually on this right hash, but I do think this is a short side setup. And if we just snap the ball, what you're going to see is this action between the C route and running back wheel is really good. And the user oftentimes has to focus on this angle post. Dez doesn't really do anything on this play with his user. He kind of runs over and takes away the running back wheel for a second, but he decides to end up going to the angle post late. And overall, this was a really smart route combination by Henry. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is kind of the difference between the two this game. So Dez was in 3-3 Cub, and in my opinion, 3-3 Cub is good, but it's not great. And the reason for that is you don't really have to think about your pass protection against 3-3 Cub. All you have to do is block a running back or block a tight end, and you're probably going to pick up the blitz. With Henry's dollar, you had to factor in where your blocker was on every single play, because if your tight end's on the opposite side of the looper is probably coming in. And that's a big deal because that kind of limits what you can do with your route combinations, with your motions, because you have to motion a tight end over to pick up that blitz. So that's going to be it for the breakdown. I don't want to cover the entire game because it does get a little out of hand, and this video could easily exceed 30 minutes. So for that sake, I'm just going to stop it here. But if you guys want to watch the full video, I'll put the link to it in the description. And then also drop a like and comment if you guys enjoyed this film review. If I don't get a lot of likes or comments, that's just going to let me know that I should never do film review again and just stick to tips. I do think that doing high-level breakdowns is valuable, but if you guys don't want to see it, that will definitely let me know if I should never do it again. So hope you guys enjoyed. Drop a like and comment if you did. And then if you guys remember, on the site, we're dropping a new ebook tonight. It's going to be a new offense, and it's going to be very explosive. So be on the lookout for that. And if you're not a member, acemadden.com, become a member. Use code ACE for 15% off any membership. See you guys later.